we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to a new edition of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Brand new week, end of the month. That means Lon Strickler is here with Strange Days. Lon's website, phantomsandmonsters.com. And we got some freaky stories for you tonight. Dirty Filth is here with another crazy cartoon. And the best part, we have all of you. We have Race Fan in the gold medal position. Scott taking home the silver with Chris, 716, a nice bronze medal tonight. Hi, Lightwalkers. How you doing? The lovely and talented Kira. Thank you for coming on in. Laura Lobbs, Dino Bravo, and Robert Lamoth. Nice to see you all. Jimmy Gonzalez, Road Flare. Les Paul Holland is here. Les Paul Holland will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Rough Rider, a.k.a. Time Travel. Dude, I didn't know you were a Rough Riders fan. Come on. Oh, that just absolutely kills me. Missouri Man, Brown Dwarf, how you guys doing? Thank you for joining us. Paramarv, good to see you, my man. And who else do we have here in roll call? We have Vanessa, and let's say hello to, well, look at that long conversation there. Tim Mothman and Tim Mothman's goatee, two separate entities. Continuing on, Digger Dog, Jennifer Patterson. Thank you for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call tonight. Flat 6. Good to see you. Mama Catherine. Mwah! I love you, my dear. Thank you for your morning text messages. They mean the world to me. And thank you, Roy Boy. And who else do we have here? Scrolling on down, we have T-Bone, my man. Good to see T-Bone here. Noble Patrick is here. Noble Patrick will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Continuing on, let us see here. Who's joining us? Dear Slayer, thank you for coming on in. And Nick Atkins, good to see you. Scrolling on down, Pam Harris. Buckethead, the soothsayer. How you doing, my man? Good to see you tonight. And who else is here? Destiny Rocks, W. David Page, and Joanne. Good to see you all. The Rogue Mason, welcome to SOR chat. Continuing on with our roll call tonight, Stu effing Gerson. There he is. Millennium, my man. Sandra Kincaid, Jessica McCreary. Thank you for joining us. Let's continue on here. Dewey Cheatham and Howe. Good to have you here. Phil the Stalker. And who else is joining us here? Scrolling on down. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Susan Alloway, thank you for joining us. And over on Facebook. Who do we have on Facebook? It's the beautiful Sparkles. Sparkles, how are you? Jeff Math, welcome to SOR chat. And who else is here? Scrolling on down. Cowboys, no rings. Cowboys, no rings. Cowboys, no rings. Anyways, Bobbert, how are you? And Scott Rosen, good to see you. Purple-haired Pixie Lara, Sweet Odyssey. And who else do we have here? Oh, I'm loving the football tension tonight. Scott Rosen, nice to see you. And just wait until I get Lon on the air and ask him how his Ravens did. Oh, it's going to feel good. It's going to feel real good. Let's see here. Yeah, you know what? That's what I love about this show is sometimes we can transcend sports into it. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Lon Strickler and Strange Days is back for the first time of 2024 as we get into monsters. And Bill WD-40 already lubing us up for tonight's show. Yeah, we're going to go into this show nice and smooth. No roughness, no rigidness, nice and smooth, thanks to Bill. We appreciate it. All right, Super Chat is open. As we want to remind everybody, it's a great way to support what we do on this show. Dizzy Reed, how you doing, man? Good to see you. And who else do we have in our chat room tonight? Scrolling on down as we hurry up. We're running out of time. Flash forward, nice to see you. Bobbert, good to see you. We are ready. Let's do this thing, everybody. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a power show of fun and mystique tonight. Lon Strickler is back with Strange Days, and after that, Among the Missing, Steve Stockton kicks off hour number 3. Follow that up. Courtney Marcassani has the UFO report. For the first time in 2024, we're proud to say hello to our good friend Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com as he joins us for his monthly adventure that we call Strange Days. Lon has been doing this for 2 years now since the passing of legend Butch Witkowski as we celebrate Butch's second anniversary of his passing, which happened on the 13th of this month. And we miss him dearly and every day. And Lon being a very best friend of Butch's, I know he misses him just as much. But Butch, wherever you are, we're still loving you and still talking praises about your name, my friend. And I'm sure Lon would give a thumbs up and agree with that. Lon owns phantomsandmonsters.com. He's been doing it for about 10 years or so. 15 years, maybe 20 if you look at his beard. And, you know, the best part about it is everybody goes there when you need to find an encounter. If you need an encounter about Dogman or ghosts or aliens, Mothman, phantomsandmonsters.com is a place to go. You can also find all of Lon's books on his website as well. Lon Strickler, it's good to see you in 2024, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Dave. How are you?
You know what? I'm doing great. I'm a little hard to believe that it's been 2 years since our good friend Butch Witkowski passed away. And I know you always got a good word to say about Butch, and I'm going to open that up to you here in a minute. But more importantly here, my man, what happened on the weekend? What happened?
Well, if you're not disciplined, you do not win ball games. And unfortunately, that's what the Ravens did. They were totally, I don't know what the hell got into them. I know one thing. They should have been running the football more than passing. But, just one of those things. All I can say is pitchers and catchers in 2 weeks.
Oh man, you know what? I got to admit, I was going for Kansas City.
No, I
Okay,
know you were.
I know because I put it on your Facebook page.
Yeah.
But Lamar Jackson. If there is anybody more athletic in the NFL than Lamar Jackson, I wouldn't. I don't think there is. I mean, the way he threw that ball to himself for a 13-yard gain, that was just all pro right there. But
Yeah.
I felt bad for Zane Williams, the rookie who fumbled the ball right at the goal line there when he thought
Zay Flowers. Yeah.
Zay
Yeah.
Flowers.
He had a bad series. He went and started bragging, mouthing off, and got penalized. Then he caught the ball and got tackled and lost the ball at the 1 yard line. And that was pretty well what did it. I mean, I think they kind of deflated after that.
Yeah. Well, the good news is I think one of these days the $80 million man Lamar Jackson, hard to believe anybody in pro sports makes $80 million a season. That's just wow. But I mean, he'll get his ring. He will get his ring.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think so. They just got a I don't know. I think they were probably ready this year, though. It just things like this happen. So
I know.
I
will.
It is what it is.
I will tell you why I cheer for Kansas City. Okay, and Lon, if you would have asked me 3 years ago who I would cheer for, I would tell you I wouldn't know, and to this day I don't really know. But there's this one photo of Travis Kelce from a couple years ago, the tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's giving this look to the camera where he looks like my deceased nephew. Like I could put up a picture of my nephew in that same look, and you would say, "Holy cow, they must be brothers or related somehow." And because he reminds me so much of my nephew, that's why I'm cheering for Kansas City, because I miss my nephew. I don't care about the Taylor Swift stuff. I don't care about, anything else, but that's why I'm cheering. And they were both born in 1989. My nephew was born in April and Travis Kelce was born in October. So that's kind of the reason why I'm cheering for Kansas City, because anytime I see somebody who's like a doppelganger to my nephew, I'm going to cheer them on.
Well, that's understandable.
Yeah. I thought it was a good excuse, at least. So, yeah. Enough football, though. Lon, it's a new year. It's a new set of sightings that are going on. How has the new year started off for you with sightings?
Well, I tell you, back in October, I just had this feeling. I was telling the team, I think 2024 is going to be a busy year. Now, of course, we had. We've been looking into sightings around this area in particular most of the year last year. And, but, they were kind of spread out. But as soon as, I think it was maybe the second day after the new year, it just started going crazy. I mean, I've been getting calls for cryptid canine sightings, little people sightings in this area. I mean, very near me, within 25 miles.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Then Tim Renner, he's been talking to somebody who's had some cryptid canine encounters near him. It's just been nuts. So yeah, we've been busy, and I think it's going to be a busy year. I just got this feeling that this year is going to be really strange as well. I just 2 days ago, I'm working on 3 new cases, attachment cases, hauntings and such. So yeah, it's been busy, and even got an abduction case I'm working on now. Just got that. Yeah, it's all been within the last 3 to 4 weeks.
What happened in that abduction case?
Well, actually, I have 2 of them, but the one I'm actually working on now, but it's an older case. guy called me up and wanted to, he just wanted to pick my brain about something that he experienced years ago. And me, I'm intuitive, and I got on the phone with this guy, and my brain's going crazy, and I'm seeing all kinds of pictures in my brain and everything. And it turns out that he and his wife, who he's been married to maybe 2 or 3 years, were abducted together at one point years ago. And I saw it. And I saw it, and I knew exactly where it was because I told him. I told him the location before he said a word. And I said, "What is it about this location?" He said, he said, "My wife and her mother had an encounter there years before I even met her." And I told him, I said, "Well, you and her were abducted together." And then he started realizing that's really what happened. So I talked to him about 5 or 6 days ago. And I told him, I said, "Look, I need you to do a few things. First of all, I need you to talk to your wife and find out," because she was kind of hesitant about talking about it. And I told him, I said, "You and her have to sit down and talk. And you really got to, talk about this and get the details down and see how much synchronicity there really is to all this." Yeah, that was just, so bizarre, so coincidental. But yeah. So yeah, I'm working on that. I'm working on another case out in California, possible abduction and some hauntings and some attachments. So I've been pretty busy.
Lon, one thing about the cryptids and monster world, it never stops.
No.
And people can send you any type of report on your website, phantomsandmonsters.com, at any time. When you're going through these reports, how many reports are you getting on a weekly basis?
I'd say from 15 to 20 a week.
My goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a good week. But this time of year, it usually does pick up. Now, I don't know if it's because it's after the holidays, people are home and they're not doing things, and they think about something that may have happened or something reminds them of it, then they get a hold of me. I think that has a lot to do with it. Now, but just like now last year, we only had 7 reports coming out of the Chicago area, so that was a slow year, and we haven't had any yet this year. So I don't know how that's going to develop, if it's going to pick up again. It usually runs in shifts. I mean, or in waves where we'll get a lot of them and they'll slow up for a while. But I don't know if the whole Chicago Mothman thing is about done or not, but we'll see.
It's one of those things where a lot of people, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, Lon, is the majority of people who file these reports, they're scared, they're dumbfounded, they're concerned, they're baffled. They want to know why them. When it comes down to it, they want to know, why was it them that saw this creature? Why did they have to see it? What do you tell people who have that emotional outbreak of seeing a cryptid or a UFO or a ghost?
I just tell them they're not alone. I tell them what I've gone through. I tell them other cases that are related to their cases as well. How long I've been doing this, how many of those cases, and how it it's pretty par for the course. Most of what people do experience is very, very similar to what others have experienced. And every once in a while, we'll get a really weird one that's just off the cuff. But for the most part, I can relate with people and kind of help them out and get them to understand what may have happened or such. And yeah, so when they're receptive to it and, they don't try to embellish on what they say they saw, it usually turns out to be a pretty good relationship and a pretty good case that we can follow up on.
Right. Right. And what do you look for in helping people? Like, what is the biggest concern that people have? Is it that this monster is going to come around again? Is it going to haunt them for the rest of their lives? Is it going to affect maybe their children or their siblings? What do you hear?
That's probably the biggest concern, that coming to me or someone else is going to cause them to have another encounter. I get that for cryptids, hauntings, and everything, even UFOs, and that's the biggest fear. Usually, when that happens, and I can pretty well tell just by the way they're talking that something, or they believe something did happen, and that's usually a pretty good indication. Those are usually the more serious cases, the ones that we really take a lot of time to work into. Of course, you're going to get a lot of people that just try to pull the wool over your eyes, but that's kind of been less and less over the years. I think people, I've been doing this a long time. I think people know that I just don't put up with a lot of crap, and or if people would ask someone else about working with me, that they will tell them that, don't lie to him, tell him the truth. I think people appreciate that.
Out of the sightings that people report to you, how many are just fables? How many do you think are just from people seeking attention and have written some creepy pasta to you?
Oh, I'd say anywhere from 30 to 40%. It's pretty high. There's a lot of stuff I get, I just totally discount because it's just ridiculous. There's usually some tells in there. Say they write me they write me an email, and I write them back, and the way they respond to it, and some of the questions they ask me, I can pretty well tell if they're being serious. Of course, you're going to get people call you up all the time and are just going to mess with you, and that happens a lot. I mean, I don't know how many numbers I've got blocked on my phone now, because I do block a lot of numbers, but and it does happen. I think every investigator gets that.
Oh,
Maybe
I think
more
so.
so with me because I'm out there more than a lot of people. Yeah. So it happens, but I
Yeah.
think I've been pretty good at judging what is good and what isn't good. And if they do have me strung along for a period of time, I normally will figure out something's going on.
Right. Lon, you've been doing this long enough to notice any type of patterns, to notice any type of you know, idiosyncrasies with these creatures and with the sightings. What have you learned from the patterns and from these little synchronicities?
Um, I think it's safe that I can say that people do experience extraordinary events. For whatever reason. I mean, you've had them, I've had them, other people have had them, but it's not it is an uncommon thing to a degree, but actually, it really isn't. Uh, Look, I know there's a lot of people out there who have had something happen to them that they just can't explain, and are just afraid to come forward for a lot of different reasons. They don't want to be ridiculed, or people think something's wrong with them, or it might affect their job or a relationship or whatever. I hear it all, but that's why I feel like when when somebody contacts me about an encounter they have, I automatically become part of the story. And I do give them the benefit of the doubt. I let them say their piece. I let them describe what's going on before I even start asking questions. And I think that's the way you got to go about it. And sure, you got to be a skeptic to a point. And, there's times when people get on the phone with me and I'll start listening to them and talking to them. And my BS meter's going off the scale. But there have been times when that has happened that I've later found out that maybe what they were telling me is the truth. So you never know. You just never know what you're going to get. You got to be, aware of it. But I give people the benefit of the doubt until they prove me otherwise.
Yeah, and I can see where you would do that. I mean, you have to give people the benefit of the doubt. You know, when it comes to the monsters, what kind of period are we in right now? Are we in a still in a Mothman period? Are we in a Dogman period? Are we in a Sasquatch period? Are we in an aliens and UFO period? Hauntings period? What do you think we're in?
Oh, I don't know if there's any periods. We're getting reports of everything, especially here in Pennsylvania for whatever reason. I talk to Stan Gordon a lot, and I think it amazes both of us that we do get as many sightings and reports from the public that we do, because Pennsylvania is a pretty conservative state for the most part, and people just don't normally say things that they don't mean. I'm not saying it's any different anywhere else, but I do know how people do talk and how they do report and how they do experience things and say they experience things. And if I had to pick a period, it would be more general, that we're in a more cryptid period. In other words, that there are things out there that are probably flesh and blood or corporeal beings that just don't fit the definition of a regular being. I mean, they're probably not indigenous. They're probably not of this earth plane. They probably come from somewhere else by whatever means we don't really know. We can just speculate. But it seems to be happening more and more. And which I think is great, because it just shows me that people are more open-minded, and they do inquire. They do want to know what's going on. So they keep us busy.
Yeah, I can see where you are, flushed with stories and with evidence. With 1 minute to go,
Mhm.
I know you focus on the East Coast. Where are your reports coming from, though?
Oh, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. I mean, if you go down my archive or what I post, you can find every state in the union, in Canada, and Mexico, and other parts of the world. It's mostly in North America. I'll admit that. And most of my witnesses come from North America. I guess other places in Europe, and people do report to who they know or someone that's local. But everywhere. I mean, sure, you got some hot spots, but I think I can't really define certain areas where these things are at, or any type of unknown or unexplained being or cryptid. It's just everywhere. It's just amazing where we get these sightings at. I mean, let alone like the Mothman in Chicago. I mean, who'd have figured we'd had a cryptid flap coming out of an urban area like Chicago? It's just never really happened before.
Right. Lon Strickler, Strange Days, his website, phantomsandmonsters.com. We love it when Lon comes on in here, helps us trip on some legends, and we're going to get into some of those stories when we return on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. We will be right back. Jamie Johnson, how you doing? Yeah, there's Sweet Lonnie. Sweet Lonnie, yes, right there. Had to put his Lon told me this truth, this absolute truth. He told me that if the Ravens had gone on to the Super Bowl, he was going to wear Ravens face paint tonight. But he couldn't.
Well, the people who know me know that's not the truth.
Oh, that is so the truth. Yeah. And he was going to have his Ravens cape on. And by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, but our weekend host, Mr. Robbie G, we call him Sweet Robbie G around here. We credit your website. I don't know if you know this, but he's been promoting the hell out of your website with our audience by sharing some of your amazing stories there.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So he delves in and gets into your archives there and reads off some really cool stories and I'm not gonna lie, when we were looking for some color to the show, in story time, I said to him, I said, you had the best website out there. I didn't think if we gave you credit, you wouldn't mind. So.
Yeah, I've been looking into this Miami thing too. We did an RV about a week and a half ago.
Yes.
And
you know what tripped me out about that? I won't say this on air because I've said it about 14 times already. It amazes me how, okay, I'm not sure if it was an alien or not, but the one thing that trips me out about it, Lon, is I know how good those helicopter cameras are.
Mm-hmm.
And when they zoom in, if you look, everything is clear except the cars are clear, the trees are clear, the sidewalk is clear, the building is clear, the cops are clear, but this creature or whatever it is or is not clear. It's blurry. Trip me out. Trip. Yes, we will get to we'll get to it right off the bat. A lot of you are asking. Lon, when we come back, there's a lot of people who want to hear the story of the moose with the red eyes.
Okay.
We got a stoned moose.
Oh,
we got a
God.
stoned moose in Canada, people. Stoned moose.
Oh, God.
Yeah. You know what's funny is last night I went out on my patio to look at the stars for a little bit, and right below me, my security light in my carport goes off. And I'm looking around my patio, can't see anything moving, nothing. I'm thinking, crap, is somebody in there or is there an animal in there? So I look into my backyard and I'm having a bloody deer convention at my cherry tree. They're all kind of looking at me. Oh, yeah. They're all kind of looking at me like, hey, what's up? What's up? What are you going to do about it? What's up? They're giving me attitude about it, right? I'm like, all right, that's what the cherry tree's there for. Nicole Sackage, how are you? Javier from Crypted 559. Good to see you back, buddy. Badass Billy Gunn. He's an ass man. Yep. All right. Who else do we have? Yeah. Perminator. Welcome to SOR chat. Mr. Sam Sheeran. How's the top hat tonight? He's so talented. Should be illegal how talented he is.
Yes, he is.
Yep. Yeah, we got to get Sam Sheeran over to Reno for our fan party. We have to. All right. May 10th through 12th, 2024. Reno, Nevada, Silver Legacy Casino and Resort. Info at spacedoutradio.com. Get your tickets reserved right now. I don't know where Dirty Filth went. Matt Geek, how you doing? By the way, for those of you on the ticker who are keeping count, I am down 7 pounds. 7 pounds. And I'm going down.
Good for
Going
you.
back. Yep. It's kind of cool. Nicole Sackich loves my mustache. She's like, dude, that is one gorgeous lip blade. Yeah. Thank you to Mama Catherine, Rough Rider, T-Bone, Pam H, and Cat Chaser for the super chat. Here comes the second. Second half hour, Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go, the second half hour. Lon Strickler and Strange Days, his website, phantomsandmonsters.com, where he brings out a bunch of different stories that people have registered with his website. And Lon, I got a lot of people in my audience asking me for this specific one, the moose with red eyes. Is this a stoned moose? Has he been in too much forest hippie lettuce? What's going on here?
I don't know. I mean, this was something I got from an U.S. Army infantryman up at Fort Wainwright up in Alaska, and he and several other guys, but his friend in particular, were out on a mission or some type of training exercise, and they were sitting there, and he went to relieve himself and started feeling weird, like he was getting goosebumps. He had this gut feeling something was up, and he thought maybe it was the MRE, that he had a bad MRE, but that isn't what it was. But anyway, and he walked back to the truck, and he says he walking back, he saw some foliage on the right-hand side fall, and he noticed it was a moose. He said, but the thing was, this moose looked kind of weird, kind of skinny looking. The antlers just didn't look right. It just looked weird. And his buddy happened to see it as well, and he mentioned that he didn't know what the hell it was. So as they were standing there, they started hearing this help cry coming out of the woods in the same direction as the moose. And they were trying to figure out what was going on. And apparently that this moose, they said he may have had red eyes. I don't know how true that is or not. But they didn't know if this moose was actually talking. They didn't go check it out because they were too scared to go check it out. And they got in the truck, and because it was getting cold, and as they closed the door, they heard the help louder coming from the direction of the moose again, and then they saw red eyes. So was it the moose that had the red eyes, or was it something else that had the red eyes? I don't know, but it's kind of a crazy story. And I do get some pretty bizarre stories out of military men occasionally, especially to do with cryptids. But yeah, they never did go into the wood line. He apologized not going looking for what it was, but I don't know if I'd have gone. To be honest with you.
Yeah. When it comes to stoned moose in Alaska that weigh over 2,000 pounds, I'm not going either.
No.
Not going either. That's just, you know what? That's just a little bit too much for me. Uh, I just can't believe, it's amazing. A lot of these creatures, are in that northern territory, from Alaska right across the northern reaches of Canada. Yes, we have a lot, below where there is population, but these creatures out there always seem to be so much bigger, so much more menacing.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, they do. I don't know. I've heard so many weird things out of the guy, like I said, out of guys in the military, let alone they were in Iraq and Afghanistan, some of the weird stuff that was seen there. Of course, people know about the Kandahar giant, and then I've had a lot of UFO sightings in Iraq, especially. Upright canines, some type of canines in Afghanistan and Iraq as well. And of course, and I've told you before, the U.S. and Canada do a lot of maneuvers together, especially up in the area around Labrador and up in Newfoundland and all. And I will occasionally get a Bigfoot story out of somebody who was training up there. And I know they're up there because my dad was stationed up there back in the 50s. And he told me there was a lot of weird stuff going on up there. He just really didn't know what it was. And, so I don't know. I mean, and of course, out in Washington State around Fort Lewis, I must get a sighting every couple of months out of McCord Lewis, because there just seems to be so much going on there as well. So it's not unusual.
I heard it at McCord Air Force Base, Fort Lewis. I don't know if you've ever heard this rumor, but there is apparently a building there for weird, strange creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard?
That's what they say. I have heard that. I've heard that a lot of locations, actually. They say here in Maryland, just south of me in Maryland, around Edgewood Arsenal, that they have something going on there with Bigfoot. People have been talking about that for years. I don't know how true it is. Now, I had an Air Force guy told me. Now he was retired, but he was an old Air Force guy, and he was doing a contract at Edgewood Arsenal, and he ran into something there that he just couldn't explain. Where something had busted down a huge metal door and apparently escaped. Everybody was kind of tight-lipped about it. So I don't know how. That's a few years ago I got that report. But the only reason he came to me is because of my encounter I had in '81, with the government being involved with that. So I don't know. I don't know if what he told me was true or not. But if you do look at that area just north of Edgewood, which is up in the Gunpowder State Park area and Gunpowder Falls and all, there are a lot of Bigfoot sightings up there.
Right.
So, yeah. So,
well, let's get to this report from Somerset County, Pennsylvania. This is one that you've chosen for tonight. A witness contacted Lon about increased unexplained activity around their Somerset County, Pennsylvania property in 2023, and it's continuing into 2024. And this has become a very noticeable trend. Hi, Lon. I live in Somerset County on the mountain ridge and was curious if there have been any reports of any type of activity here this past year. We live in a very rural area, and I've been in this home 20 years, and this past year it just seems something strange things have been happening. My teen daughter's bedroom window faces the road. Across the road is a wooded area and farmland. Lots of abandoned mines in this area, and I'm sure the area across the road has been mined. My daughter, who is 17, has been complaining since probably summer 2023 of strange noises coming from the woods. One night she woke me, and I heard them as well. The best explanation I could come up with was feral hogs, even though we never saw what was making these noises and causing the trees to move. The noises were feral and terrifying. We have visits from coyotes, bobcats, fishers, bears, and all sorts of native wildlife, and we hear those types of sounds all the time. This was different. The trees were shaking. My daughter goes out very early for the bus when it's dark and has also claimed to see a deer that disappeared, reappeared, or shapeshifted to the point where she is afraid to wait for the bus. I saw a mountain lion on my property this past summer. I've decided that it's just a normal mountain lion despite the Game Commission's insistence they don't live here. I know it sounds ridiculous, but things seem strange here lately. Something is just different. There is a creepy feeling I get when I'm outside at times, like I'm being watched, that I've never had before. I've also noticed much more air traffic overhead to the point that I installed an app on my phone to see what was flying over. I've seen more strange helicopters flying over where it used to be occasionally, and I usually brush it off as having something to do with the Flight 93 memorial. On Thursday night, January 18th, 2023, around 6:50 p.m., a helicopter went over so low to the point that it shook my house. I was busy, so it took a couple of minutes of this continuing before I checked the app and noticed it was a Black Hawk helicopter out of Latrobe. It was across the road over the area where my daughter had been complaining of the noises coming from the woods. I hovered over the area for a good, or pardon me, it hovered over the area for a good 10 minutes in one spot, then disappeared from the radar altogether. I tried to see it from my upstairs window, but couldn't see much. My husband, who initially thought I was paranoid, also began to think it was strange. We saw lights in the woods over that way, but not much more. Could not see the helicopter in the air. The weather has been generally crappy here with high winds and blowing snow this week. I'm not sure if they landed or turned off the radar, but I'm guessing they may have landed because I could no longer hear the helicopter sounds. I believed in the paranormal for a long time because I once saw a ghost in the 90s when I lived in Baltimore. I've never really thought much about cryptids or things that could be dangerous. Just wondering if you've heard anyone else reporting odd things in this area. It's not the Chestnut Ridge. I think it's the ridge over that may run through Bedford and Somerset counties. Just curious if anyone else has seen anything this way. Now, you put a note on here. You said, I redacted the location and other personal identifying information from the email. I talked to the witness last night to clarify some details. I believe that she is experiencing Bigfoot and possibly cryptid canine activity. The sightings of mountain lions have drastically increased in the past few years, regardless of the denials by the Pennsylvania Game Commission, even though several of the rangers freely admit that they exist in the state. As well, the black bear is moving east beyond the mountains and deeper into the Susquehanna Valley in Pennsylvania and Maryland. Our local investigators have also commented on the increase of number of black and unmarked helicopters seen and reported in the upper Chestnut Ridge, as well as in the Laurel Mountain and Laurel Highlands areas. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, I do get reports from that area. That's Laurel Ridge. In fact, that's the ridge between Chestnut Ridge and the Flight 93 Memorial. You get a lot of hunters around there, but I've had hunters who had, and I've seen trail cam footage come from that area, and there's a lot of weird stuff. I mean, stuff disappearing, that's not unusual. Tree shaking, unexplained noises, that's kind of par for the course. And it's interesting because Stan Gordon called me today, and he mentioned this report because I hadn't sent it to him yet because we're looking at it first before I even send it to him. But he told me he's been getting a lot of reports from that area in the past year or so. So there's something going on there. As far as the helicopters go, if they're Black Hawks, I have no idea what they're doing in there. Now, I know the state of Pennsylvania has been flying helicopters all over the state because they're taking turkey surveys throughout the state. And when they get a call about a new flock or turkey seen or something, they do try to investigate and see if they can see them. But and they have been banding them and stuff as well. But when you start talking about unmarked helicopters and Black Hawk helicopters coming out of Latrobe, and there's some other areas as well, I don't know what the hell's going on. So we're going to keep at it. Now, I've got 2 investigators that live within miles of her. So we are looking at it. I am going to keep an eye on it. And when we start if we get any evidence or anything else coming from there, I'll report on it. But at this point right now, we just really don't know what the heck is going on.
My goodness. Now, somebody like this who is having all sorts of issues, I mean, this is almost like, a dream case activity, like Skinwalker Ranch style. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, very intriguing to see what's going on. Are they scared being at home now? Are they scared that these creatures are going to somehow end up in their own yard?
I think she has some concern, or she wouldn't have contacted me. I did tell her, I said, look, if it gets to the point where you want us to come in there and look, we will. We haven't got to that point yet, though I'm pretty sure that she would like us to come in there and look at some point. I don't know the distance for me. It's about 120, 130 miles from me. But my other investigators live just down the road. So, and of course, Stan could check it out too if I would need to have him do that. But the area, I mean, the area is rife for a lot of weird activity. It's that whole Laurel Highlands, Chestnut Ridge, Laurel Ridge area. It's known for a lot of weird stuff, and just like the mountain lion thing. I think the mountain lion thing's funny because I get reports of mountain lions all the time. I mean, these are dead serious people. And I've even had the rangers tell me they know they're in the state. But of course, the state will not. The commission itself will not acknowledge it. I don't know why, but they won't. Anybody ever gets attacked by a mountain lion, I think they're going to be sorry. But in fact, I was talking to one of my investigators who told me he had seen a mountain lion in this area not too long ago. So they're around. But as far as cryptid activity, yeah, there's stuff going on. There's no doubt about it. It's just a matter of being able to pinpoint what really is going on. But when you start getting trees shaking, it's not feral hogs doing that. And when I asked her about it, she said, yeah, I mean, it was a distance, but the tree was just shaking all over the place. And then we started hearing the screamings and all other sounds coming out of the woods. So, she didn't want to go down there too far and check it out, but it was off her property. But, her daughter seems to be pretty sincere about what she encountered as well with a deer disappearing. And I have heard that a lot.
Okay, that was something that was going to lead up to my next question, which is, it's one thing to deal with creatures like you mentioned, Dogman or bipedal canines and Sasquatch. This is what you were leaning to in your report back to them. But when we start getting into things that are shape-shifting, that's a whole different realm right there of monsters, Lon. And to me, it adds a whole lot more danger. What is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess any animal, if it's in a wrong situation, can be dangerous. But as far as mountain lions go, I think they try to keep to themselves. Most times when people see them, they're trying to get away from them or away from the area where humans are. But I don't know. I don't know if there's ever going to be a problem. I hope there isn't. My God, I hope there really isn't. But just like with black bears, this year in particular, I live near Gettysburg, and Gettysburg and this part of the state just does not see that many bears, if any. And there were 5 bears reported in the battlefield in downtown Gettysburg this past summer. So something's going on. These animals are moving east, and of course we got coyotes that are moving further east, and we got coyotes in every state in the continental United States now. I mean, there've been reports. So I don't know, and I don't know what's going on, but things are getting active, and of course we're getting cryptid activity too. Now, is the cryptid activity associated with natural animals being in an area? I don't know. I can't answer that. Are people seeing something or sensing something that is maybe just a mountain lion or a bear, and they just haven't seen it before and they report it as a cryptid? I really don't know.
Right. I'm just wondering, as we got about 3.5 minutes to go with this story. I mean, is this a type of story because there is so much activity happening there daily that you're going to follow up with this one, like maybe on a weekly, bi-weekly, maybe monthly basis?
Yeah, I'll stick to it. I mean, it just depends how busy we are, but I will contact them and see if things are going, what's going on. I do that with all my witnesses. I'll email them or send them a text or call them just to keep in touch. I very rarely, talk one time to them and just drop it. I do keep up with what's going on with witnesses.
Yeah, because, I think when you have a hotbed like that, especially where you can focus on one property where you're not running all over hell's half acre in order to try and, pick something up on the left and then to the right and then stuck in the middle with you kind of thing. Anytime you can throw Steelers wheel in there, you have to, but the point that I'm getting at is, like, when you have this one centralized area, that's got to make life much easier.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and we're lucky here because this part of the state has been very active with a lot of different things. I mean, myself, Tim Renner and Chad Redding have been working together pretty regular now for the past year. So, we're able to get to these places pretty quickly. And those two guys know some of these areas better than I do, even though I was born and raised around here. There's just a lot of different stuff that's showing up, stuff that wasn't around when I was younger, nor you never heard about. But now it's starting to show itself.
Right. It really is. What do you expect? I mean, with people like this who are starting to notice their own encounters, what do you expect from them? Like, what do you tell them to do?
I just try to calm them and not to be worried about it unless something does happen, and we're here for them. I told her, look, if it gets really bad, call the cops. Don't worry about what they think. Just call the cops. Let me know, and I'll see what I can do. I can get help for you. As far as doing investigating, that's no problem. The investigators throughout the state keep pretty tight, and I can always get somebody to check something out. So, yeah, I mean, but people do get rattled sometimes. She was pretty calm about it, but she was curious. And the fact that she's from Baltimore and moved up here 20 years ago, I thought was kind of funny because, we were talking a lot about living down in Baltimore. And, when she moved up here, she said, I never expected some of the things that have happened around here in the 20 years I've lived there. She said, this is not the only thing, but the difference in people, and people are very conservative as opposed to living down there and all. So, yeah, I mean, it takes getting used to sometimes, but yeah, it's we're lucky. We're lucky around here because we get a lot of weird stuff we can look into.
Lon Strickler, Strange Days, continues after this, where we will get into another couple stories reported to phantomsandmonsters.com, Lon's website. We love Lon around here for Strange Days. Happens at the end of each month. Right here on Spaced Out Radio. Hour 2 is next. Great job. Great job. Gonna see what Dirty Filth has going over here. Look, people, we have a blob report. We have a blob report.
I see. I'm gonna get a cup of coffee. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem, Lon. All yours, Dirty. Don't forget to turn your microphone on and show off Blobbert.
I may have only got halfway through my sentence before I turned the microphone on. Hold on, let's get a picture of the blob here. It's the blob. She doesn't like the light. She's actually a vampire. A little bit of blob in there. Hey everybody, happy Monday. Mark Sanchez, Van Gold, Tim's beard. Everybody I missed. Probably a million people. Yes. Thanks for sharing that, Tim. And I fixed most of the spelling spelling errors this year in the calendar. Because you can't make second editions of that kind of stuff. You have to get it right the first time, or just edit it for the next one. It's the woods. You never know who's going to show up in the woods. Job. Well, Phil the Stalker, we feed the cats raw meat. So they pretty much eat better than we do. I don't know. Just buy a great big, huge sack of dead animal and cut it up and feed it to the cats. It's usually beef. Hold on. I had to inquire. It depends on the week of what type of meat it is we get for the cats. But they're mostly farm cats, so it all works out. Good night, Kira. Ooh, Siamese cat. Siamese cat was one of my first ever cats that I was friends with. His name was Shadow. Lived somewhere near my grandmother's house, and I'd go there, and she'd always buy me little tins of food for him, and I'd put the food down, I'd stare at him, watch him eat. He'd follow me around the yard and everything. That doesn't happen anymore. Race fan's probably the guy that buys the premium beers. You can't just go buy Lucky Lagers or whatever. But she buys like IPAs from the local hipster brewery. The calendar comes with, you know what? I should have grabbed it. I'll grab it tomorrow. I'll show off some of the pages. I put a whole bunch of interesting dates on it. UFO dates and cryptid dates and junk. Yeah, IPA. Oh, drank enough of those when I lived in Vancouver during animation school. Question, Filthy. Do you do battle cat with blob? No, I just usually leave the blob alone. She's old. But the gremlin and the gargoyle beat the crap out of each other all the time. They're absolutely out of control. Patrick Noble. Hello, sir. Coors. Well, at least it's not coke-y. Oh. Or as we call it, Sasquatch piss. Yeah, the old Jack and Coke. Oh, hello, Sackage. You should go to Reno and keep me full of Jack Daniels and Coke. Count
can't drink.
cigarettes.
I can't drink anymore.
I haven't drank since they invented the funnel.
Oh, really? Yeah, I can't drink. Yeah, that surgery took that into my drinking days.
It's terrible. Terrible.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good blobbing tonight there, Dirty Filth.
She's doing a good job.
Hi, Stephanie Jackson. Who else has shown up here?
Now, Vinny
Travis?
wants to get in there.
Yeah. Oh, there's Blobbert. Look at that blob. That's good blobbing right there.
Okay, good night, gentlemen.
Good night, Dirty Filth. Good night, Blob. Lisa B, how are you? And David Lopez, how you doing, buddy? And, well, Dirty Filth. Gone for the night. Beelzebrad, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. All right. Well, big thank you tonight to Cat Chaser, Rough Rider, Mama Catherine, T-Bone, Pam H, Linda, DAY Song, and La 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 La, Bright, for the great super chats. Remember, the store is open on our website. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag there. So go get your swag today. And here we go with hour 2.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. You can always join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Abatis. Abatis is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. We continue on tonight with Lon Strickler. Strange Days is what we call it when Lon comes on in to hang out with us to talk about the monsters among us. And it's one of our more popular shows that we do. Lon, thank you so much for being here.
Always great to be with you, Dave.
Always great to have you here, my man. And thank you for always sharing some very intriguing stories with us as you are once again tonight. And here's one that I like, and I'm going to play this one. Because you know one thing I love, and I think we take it for granted, is how much truckers see when they're on the road, Lon. And you have a report here from a long-haul driver who witnessed a Sasquatch being hit by a truck on the Alabama interstate.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm going to read this one.
Okay.
It was 2013. I just started driving a truck. I had just got my truck after being trained and everything. I drove from Milwaukee, Wisconsin to Cherokee, Alabama. I didn't drive straight through, but I got up early this one day to get my load there on time. And I was taking this load of paper, scrap paper, to Cherokee, Alabama, to a plant that makes Kleenex. So I'd gotten up early to finish out my load so I could get there on time. I drove probably 8 hours or something like that, got my load delivered, picked up an empty trailer, and got a hold of my dispatcher to find out what he wanted me to do next. He didn't have any work for me, so I said, I'm going to go lay down for a little while. So I went to a little truck stop that just was down the road, took a nap, got up, and decided to have some lunch. Got some lunch, And while I was eating my lunch, I decided to get my next load, which was in Decatur, Alabama, which was probably an hour or something away, like that from where I was in Cherokee. Maybe a little more or less, somewhere in that range. So I went to pull out of this road, and there was this big black truck, all lifted up, all jacked up and everything. A pickup truck, that is. So I thought I'd let him go first because he was moving. So when he passed, I pulled out and I got the whole truck straightened out. There's US 72. 2 lanes are going one way and 2 lanes in the other direction, divided by medians between them and trees. You're kind of driving through the woods, trees on both sides of the road. If I had to guess, maybe 50 yards from the trees to the trees, maybe a little more, something like that. I'm driving along, just getting the truck straightened out, seeing what's going on around me. All of the sudden, out of the woods to my right, this thing came running, and it was fast, fast, fast. I don't know what it was, but I know it was fast. So fast that I couldn't really tell what it was. But I tell you this, it made that clearing from the woods to the road, which I could tell you was a good-sized clearing. It made that clearing from the woods to the road in about almost 10 steps at most. That's how fast it was going. That's how big strides it was taking. But anyway, it crossed out in front of the road, and that big black truck in front of me, I don't even know if he knew what hit it, but he hit it. He hit it high, right in the right hip, and it turned around, twisted around, and fell into a ball on the shoulder. The guy didn't pay any attention to it. I was thinking, what the heck was that thing? I know what it looked like, but I didn't want to sound crazy. So I drove by it. My window's down because I was smoking. And so I'm slowing down to kind of look at it, see what it is. I'm looking out my right window, and it's balled up, whatever it was. It was a big ball. The truck was jacked up, and it hit this thing in the hip, and it fell into a ball on the ground. When I drove by it, it wasn't dead, but it was mad. I could see it. Like, all I could see was its hair. Couldn't see it, but I knew it was mad. You could hear this thing making grunts, like it was pissed right off. I was just, is that a Bigfoot? Again, I don't know what it was, but swear to God, I don't know what it was. I was tired. I lay down and I slept for 3 hours. I had lunch, but it was like I just woke up. I had lunch before I left, so I know I wasn't crazy. This thing, it wasn't like big, enormous, like 7, 8 feet tall, like how when you think about Bigfoot being, he was probably about 6 feet tall or whatever. He wasn't like enormously large, but he was still big. You could see when I drove by it, it was loaded with muscle underneath that hair. I got my load and drove for a little while, got parked for the night, and called my wife. Told her about it. They were in all amazement. My mother said, "Why didn't you go back and take a picture of it?" Because I didn't know if it was a bear. If it was a Bigfoot, I didn't know what it was. All I knew was that it was mad, and I wasn't going to figure out what it was in case it ripped me in half. I got home that weekend. We had a big party because my sister-in-law had just graduated from nursing school. So we all went out to dinner. Me, my brother, my family, with her family and everything. We were kind of close with her family, so I told her dad about it, and he said it was a bear. I've never seen a bear other than like that than in the zoo or on TV. So maybe it was a bear, but when I think of a bear, I don't think of a bear as running on its hind legs. When a bear gets up on its hind legs, it is more for intimidation type thing. I see him taking a couple steps, but I don't see them full out sprinting, running, and I always think of bears' hind legs, at least in my head, being a little stubby kind of legs. This thing was fast, and it had big, huge, like normal people's legs, but it had big, long arms. It took that stride like 10 steps before it crossed the road, and then crossed the road in like 2 steps. That's my story of Bigfoot. I don't know if it was Bigfoot. I don't know what it was. All I know is that it freaked me out. I told my wife about it that night when I got parked. She looked it up, and there have been all kinds of Bigfoot sightings in Decatur, Alabama. So maybe it was Bigfoot. I don't know, but I thought it would be cool to share with you. I'm pretty sure I saw Bigfoot. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure. That's all I know. What's your thoughts, Lon?
Well, I think he probably saw a Bigfoot. You know, the area where he had around Decatur, that has been a hot area for a couple of years now. We're working cases in northern Alabama down into just south of Birmingham in recent years. I've got a couple guys working down there with me. But it's just not Bigfoot too. We've had cryptid canine sightings as well. There's a lot going on down there. Yeah, that's another hot spot. That's an area that's been getting busy lately. And yeah, I think he did see a Bigfoot.
You know what? The one thing that I have learned, Lon, in my years of living up here is trust the truckers. They are, to me, truckers are like airline pilots. Okay. They are the pros of the road, the majority of them. Okay. They are always on tap for seeing what is going on. I have talked to numerous truck drivers here who haul logs out of the mountains, and every one of them has seen things. They've had their, driving down the mountainside, and, they're trying to keep control of their trucks, but they are watching creatures run through the trees to the sides of them, chasing them and keeping up with them at 30, 40 kilometers an hour going downhill. They've seen lights up at the mountain. I mean, these trucker guys, they're starting their driving at 2:00 in the morning to get up to because they get paid by the load. So they're starting at 1, 2:00 in the morning, and they are seeing lights where there is no logging crew on the mountain, and there is no trails up there, but they're seeing lights and orbs and everything flying through the trees. Never mind the highway truckers who are seeing what they are seeing. I mean, how reliable do you think truckers are?
Oh, I think they're very reliable. Some of the best stories I get, some of the best encounters I get come from truck drivers. And, there's, you can tell when they talk to you that they're not trying to play games with you, because for the most part, they're pretty serious people. I mean, for anybody that's got to be out there on the road as long as they are, they're not going to take a lot of crap, and they're not going to dish it out either. So, yeah, I got to trust truck drivers for the most part.
Yeah, I very much trust what they say on the road. And I could tell you this. I've had a number of truck drivers tip me up to some really cool hot spots of where to go in order to find some of these potential sightings. But yeah, I would agree with you. I think that this was probably a young Bigfoot that was being chased by something, and it was trying to get away. And I think this truck driver was smart and refused to stop, because whatever Sasquatch is, injured Sasquatch is that much more dangerous.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he did what I would have done, nothing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Especially after the thing probably got injured, I definitely wouldn't have been pulling over and getting out of the truck. So, yeah, I thought you'd like that one. Yeah, that's a pretty interesting one. But no, that's Alabama. I've had other truckers in particular, getting on the highway. And what's that highway between Birmingham and Atlanta? Up near Jasper and that area up there, a lot of Bigfoot sightings along the highways. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Alabama's the next big hotspot.
What makes it about that area for those of us who are unfamiliar?
The pine woods, very thick woods. No, look, you got a lot of urban areas there, but you got a lot of areas in between that are very heavy vegetated. And there's a lot of place for them to hide. There's a lot of woods, a lot of planted pine woods in there too, white pines and everything, in Georgia and Alabama. So there's a lot of places for them to hide out at. And a lot of places for game as well.
Right. Okay. I didn't realize it was that much of a wilderness. No, that's wonderful. All right, before we get to another story here, I'd like to get a couple audience questions in, if you don't mind.
Okay.
This one from Dizzy here, and it is. I'd love to hear anything you've learned or you hear about regarding hauntings, attachments, and what's happened. Lon, have you had a lot of those stories lately?
Not lately. I every once in a while I'll get one. It's not like you used to. I kind of, if it's a special case, I will look into it, especially if there are kids involved with it. I will get involved. The distance is a problem because I can do remote work as well. But yeah, I mean, every once in a while I do write about it. If you go to probably the biggest case I've been involved with as far as a haunting or an attachment goes would be the Sioux City case that I had. I've got a video up on YouTube, on my YouTube channel about that. And it's on the blog too. If you just go to the blog and search Sioux City entity, it'll come up. But it's a pretty harrowing case. I worked on that case for 11 years.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was almost like a poltergeist, but in a way it wasn't, because this energy was feeding off a lot of dead energy.
Mm-hmm.
Because of an airline crash that happened in Sioux City years ago at Gateway Airport. And the people I was working with, they lived right across the street from the airport. And this energy, this entity was feeding off that energy. And it was also attaching itself and feeding off some dysfunction and other negative energy with the household as well. It was a very, very long case, but it had about a little bit of everything in it. I mean, stuff flying out of the drawers, banging on the walls, all kinds of crazy stuff. So, just look up, Sioux City entity case. If you want, I'll tell you what I'll do is next time I come on, I'll go ahead and read it out and talk about it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, we can do that.
Absolutely. Let's get to Human Carl's question. All right. Human Carl is asking, my sister lives in Warwick, PA, east of Elverson and south of French Creek State Park, and State Lands number 43. Any type of cryptid activity around there?
Yeah, French Creek is really active. That was Butch's old hangout. Butch lived 2 miles from there, and he had cameras and stuff in there a lot. We had, and I talked to you about that hyena-looking upright canine that was seen in there 2 years ago.
Yes.
The guy's name is Matt Haryak. He's actually part of my affiliate team now. But his story is pretty compelling. But that was an upright canine. It was pretty scary too. Him and his young daughter, both saw it. And this thing was up in the trees, jumping around. It was really weird. It was a strange looking thing from what he described. But French Creek, I've had humanoid sightings in French Creek as well. There's something about that place that it just draws a lot of weird things. It's got Bigfoot activity. Yeah, I mean, Eastern Pennsylvania does have a lot of Bigfoot activity. I mean, in suburbs around Philly, up into Bucks County in particular, we've got upright canines and Bigfoot up there. Then heading east into French Creek, which is around the Reading area of Berks County. There've been a lot of weird things there. So, yep, French Creek is pretty interesting.
Excellent. Well, do we go to another story or do we just chat away here about these areas? Because we've got like 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes to go. let me ask you this.
Okay.
What's the difference between a Bigfoot area and a bipedal canine area?
You know, I think they do live in the same areas in some places where they can stay away, enough room that we stay away from each other. I have talked to witnesses in other states who have had both types of cryptids in one area, particularly up in Minnesota, northern Minnesota. But in Pennsylvania, I know they're around there. There's an area near me, Michaud State Forest, which is a pretty large place. It's got a lot of Bigfoot activity, but over the recent years, it's had a lot of cryptid canine activity as well. We've got reports of both in there. A lot of hauntings in the area. There's a lot of old witchcraft stories that come out of there. It's just a weird place. But we have had a lot of Bigfoot and cryptid canine activity. And the Appalachian Trail runs right in the middle of it. I'd say about 60 miles the Appalachian Trail runs through Michaud from the Maryland line up into northern Dauphin County, up and around that area, till it gets to the river. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's a big ridge. That's what they call the old South Mountain Ridge. It's part of the Alleghenies, but it's and in fact, one of the accounts I gave you, our investigation a couple of weeks ago up in Dillsburg, that area up in northern York County, was just the foothills of that mountain range. So yeah, we've got little people and cryptid canine sightings and UFOs and all kinds of other stuff going on up there. So it's another area we're looking into.
It's going to miss Tessa Marie's question. Hey, Lon, love that shape-shifting episode last Friday on phantomsandmonsters.com. Was so disturbing. Do you have any more of those accounts? If you do, could you please do a part 2? What was this?
I will do a part 2.
What was this shape-shifting one?
Yeah, I was trying to, when people talk about shapeshifters, a lot of times they think about werewolves or vampires or something like that, whereas a human that turns into something like lycanthropy. And then there are other metamorphs that, can either change from animal to human or human to animal, just like a skinwalker, which involves witchcraft. But I tried to demonstrate other reports that I have had of other shapeshifters, and there are a lot of them. And in fact, a lot of them have to do with animals shapeshifting, deer especially. We get a lot of shapeshifting deer. We had one in particular, which was pretty close to me, just south of me, of a man that was in a field. It was dressed in a red flannel jacket. And the guy literally, him and another guy in the car were driving by and saw the guy turn into a deer.
Ooh.
Yeah. And that red flannel phenomena, that's something that Tim Renner's been looking into. I don't know if you've had Tim on your show or not. If you do, you ought to get him on, because he looks into a lot of the folklore stuff, but he looks into really weird stuff that most people don't look into.
Yeah, Flannel Man.
Flannel Man.
Yeah, I say, what are you doing? Chasing a bunch of Canadians down there? Right?
A bunch of loggers.
I said, geez, man, they're just trying to find a Tim Hortons. Let them be. Let them be. No, but I hear you on that one. And Lon, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Hard to believe show is flying on by, and we're already 90 minutes in to tonight's show with Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com. If you have any weird story that you would like investigated that's happened in your life, doesn't matter whether it's paranormal, supernatural, cryptid, UFOs, send it over to Lon Strickler at phantomsandmonsters.com. Strange Days with Lon Strickler happens at the end of each month here on Spaced Out Radio. We love Lon's stories. That's why we keep bringing them back. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be back for the second half right after this. Jennifer Fincham, what is a Tim Hortons? Shame on you.
God,
Shame on
your
you.
tongue.
Bite your tongue. You know what they brought back for the next couple of months? Dutchy donuts.
Oh,
The greatest
I haven't had
donut
one of those since I was up in Canada. But
they're the greatest donuts ever.
We do have a Tim Hortons around here now. I mean, it's down the road a little further, but we didn't used to. Yeah, when I used to go up to Toronto a lot, that'd be the first place I stop at.
Oh yeah,
I love Tim. I love their coffee.
yes. Miss Tessa Marie, you are very welcome. We get everybody's questions up. That puts them in capital letters. At least we try to. We will see you in Reno, Nevada. I have to do my shameless plug here for a second, Lon.
Mm-hmm.
May 10th through 12th, 2024. Yes, that's this year. This is just 4 months away, everybody. 4 months away. We're going to meet in Reno, Nevada at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort for the 3rd annual SOR fan party. Everybody is invited. If you're in the audience, you're invited. If you're a special guest like Lon, you're invited. Okay? Everyone is invited to come out and have a weekend of woo with us. We do this for you, the fans. This is why it's important for you guys to come. Tickets are $100 for VIP, which also gets you a swag bag. Okay, $60 if you don't want the swag bag. And you get to hang out with everybody from Science Bob and Lala Bright to Tim Senor, Melinda Leslie, Merle, myself, the entire SOR team. And we're going to have a bunch of other special guests for you hanging on out. Friday night, you get the live radio show that we're going to do. Then right after that, the VIP party. Saturday, you can go on a ghost tour with Merle to Virginia City. After that night, you can head on out and go sky watching for UFOs with Melinda Leslie. And we have a lot of stuff going on. Sunday, hey, it's a hangout session. Some of you are going home because you got to work Monday. Others are staying until Monday, and we are going to go. I just got confirmed our Keith Andrews is going to be there. He's booked his hotel. He's booked his flight, and he's ready to talk aliens with you in Reno. So make sure you join us for the 3rd annual SOR fan party in Reno, Nevada. Go to info@spacedoutradio.com. Info@spacedoutradio.com. Reserve your tickets today. We will be getting tickets out probably within the next month, and we want to see you in Reno. So rooms are cheap right now. I believe it equals out to about $130, $140 a night there, compared to Vegas last year where we were paying like $330. All right. It's going to be worth it. We're going to have a lot of cool people there. And remember, all of our special guests who you see on this show, we're there for you. So if you want to go for breakfast, you want to eat lunch, you want to hang out and have a beer, play a poker game or whatever, that's what we're there for. We were all there for you. All right. And we're coming back again. So make sure you join us. Get your tickets or reserve them at info@spacedoutradio.com. And Lon will even tell you $100 is damn cheap for an event like this. You go to a conference, it's $160, $200, $300 now. Not here. Not here. It's going to be great. And there will be no breakfast for dinner, Rob G. We're not doing that stuff. Gentry, you better be there. We want to see you there. All right. I'm looking forward to it. Hi, Tokeland. How you doing? Peter Benton, good to see you. And, yeah, there we go. Thank you to our super chatters. The lovely Cat Chaser, lovely Linda Thompson, lovely D.A. Roberts, lovely la Bright, lovely Kira, lovely T-Bone ×2, lovely Pam H, lovely Mama Catherine, and lovely Rough Rider. But dark sky, starry sky. Where are you in Canada? Where are you in Canada?
Canadian.
Let us know. All right. Zenzabil, how are you? I don't know why all of a sudden my sinuses are getting to me.
Yeah, I got sinus issues too.
It warmed up to 7 degrees above zero here. I've had 4 inches of snow melt in my yard today alone.
Really?
Yeah.
We got up to 70 degrees.
Hold on,
week.
Lon. Sorry. Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you could always check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Final half hour. Lon Strickler, phantomsandmonsters.com is his website. And Lon's always up for a good story, a good question, and a good monster to hang out with. You can find all of Lon's books at phantomsandmonsters.com as well. Lon, welcome back.
Great to be here, Dave.
Question for you from Dizzy Reed. Lon, you said you had little people sightings. Can you get into some detail there?
Yeah, let me pull it up here. I got a call about 3 weeks ago of from a guy who's had some sightings, and this was here in north part of York County, which is southwest of Harrisburg. And myself and Chad Redding, who's on my team, we went up there, and that's for people who know the area. It's the Lattimore, Clear Spring area, York County. I was contacted 2 weeks before the on-site investigation by the resident concerning unexplained activity on or around his property. The location is east of the northern section of Micho State Forest, which is southeast of Stonehead Peak and White Rock Mountain. The Mason-Dixon Trail, that western terminus, is there, as well as the Appalachian Trail. So it's all in the same area. So we arrived at the location, met with the property owner, who took us to a small valley drainage run located behind the resident. And according to the witness, his dog was let loose, and he has a pretty good sized dog. In fact, I think the dog is pit bull, actually. And it was let loose from its lead on several occasions, which would have required a collar bolt to be unscrewed. See, the collar he had on this thing had an actual bolt that had to be unscrewed. So one evening in June of 2023, after the dog was let loose, the witness observed up to a dozen shadow-like figures with bluish silver eyes that projected light, manifesting along the then dry drainage run in the small valley. The beings would vanish and then reappear at different locations along the dry run. Now, after observing the beings for 10 to 15 minutes, they eventually faded away. The witness also mentioned that the beings had gained access to his bedroom on one occasion. And in fact, he heard them coming in. He was in bed, and they got into the closet. He heard them in there rooting around the closet, but then they just left. So I don't know what the whole situation was with that. The witness also described various anomalies seen and experienced in the areas since moving to the property in 2021. He moved down here from New York City. There was at least one hyena-like cryptid canine sighting by his son, as well as another incident with a possible Bigfoot slapping the outside of the residence near his daughter's bedroom. Also, the witness observed two big cats, possibly eastern puma or mountain lions, sitting atop a shed on his neighbor's property. A neighbor also reported a 75 to 100 foot diameter UFO hovering above the roadway north of the witness's property. Now, this region is historically well known for cryptid and unexplained activity, including Bigfoot, cryptid canines, UFOs, and other paranormal phenomena. There's also a history of witchcraft and root conjuring in the area and for most of South Central Pennsylvania. Then I got an interesting story from this witness. He mentioned an incident. Now, of course, you all know my involvement with the winged humanoid, red-eyed winged humanoid,
Yes.
back in 1988. And as far as what we've been dealing with in Chicago, well, the witness mentioned an incident that was told to him by a clergyman of an attack on two Boy Scouts by a red-eyed winged humanoid approximately 5 years ago at a camp near York, Pennsylvania. Now, the only possible location of the Boy Scout camp in York, Pennsylvania area are Wizard Ranch, which is in Pelham, which is along the Susquehanna River, Camp Tuckahoe, where we were really close to on this investigation, and Camp Conewago near New Yorkshire, Pennsylvania, where I had my encounter back in October 1988. The attack was reported as a bear attack, according to the clergyman. More research is needed for this account. And then Chad, who was with me as we were leaving, he told me about a rather an interesting Class B Bigfoot encounter he had in the same area up at White Rock Mountain. So yeah, the location is very well known for a lot of weird stuff. But this winged humanoid thing we're looking into now, if that was only 5 years ago, that would be the most recent winged humanoid sighting we had in this area. We've had a few, but that would be the most recent. And of course, if this thing literally had a physical contact with these Boy Scouts, and they were hospitalized, and they used an excuse it was a bear attack, according to the witness. So I don't know. I don't know what that's all about, and I'm looking into it, but I don't know.
Scary times, man.
Yeah,
Scary
it is
times.
weird. I mean, but you know, when you hear about stuff like this so close to home, of course, I've had encounters, and I've talked to so many people with encounters around here. It doesn't surprise me, but when somebody just comes out and tells you that, that's a little different. So you got to take it into account.
Noble Patrick is wondering if you have any new stories or reports from the LBL in Kentucky.
Nothing new. I did a video 2 weeks ago about werewolf and portals and other phenomena down near the LBL. That's on the Phantoms and Monsters Radio YouTube channel. It was just done 2 weeks ago. So I did read several accounts. So if you want to go there and check it out, do that, because there's some pretty interesting stories in there.
What makes that area such a hot spot for Dogman, and seems like a very violent Dogman while we're there?
Well, you know, the original story, I don't know how true it really is. I haven't really found any evidence supporting that account. I've heard a lot of anecdotal evidence, which in these type of cases is probably the most you're going to get. But I have talked to people who have literally had cryptid canine encounters in the LBL area. Now, that's Western Kentucky, down into Tennessee, because it goes into both states. The the account I talked about in the video, the longest account I talked about was sent to me by a witness and a family who had a lot of phenomena going on. They lived down in the Tennessee area of the LBL. So, but he was very close to the lake. So I think it's Kentucky Lake Kentucky, or whatever that is. But yeah, the LBL's got a lot of weird stuff. Bigfoot too.
I find there's a lot of people who know about the story, but I haven't found anybody who's an expert on the story yet, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's a lot of anecdotal, and over the years, it's kind of morphed itself. I do have the original story that was reported, but I just don't know how much fact is there. Apparently, people were injured, maybe even killed. I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's a weird story. I mean, the folklore's kind of caught up with it. But the fact that people have seen some strange beings there. And I do know one thing: the park rangers do not like talking about it. That land between the lake recreational area, they do have rangers in there, and they do not like talking about these incidents. So I don't know what that's all about.
Even the forest rangers that we have up here are not fans of talking about the weird. They want to know about it. They want to know the reports, but they sure as heck are not talking about it. One of the things that I'm hearing a lot lately that's happening in Canada that's being swept under the rug, Lon, is a lot of cattle mutilations going on. And it's being swept right under the rug right now from a lot of people in there. And in my search for the Canadian version of the Skinwalker Ranch, apparently, from what I'm hearing, I'm not too far away from it. But on the prairies, especially in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, that's where I'm hearing a lot of these cattle mutilations going on.
Yeah, I've had some people reference possible cattle mutilations in Alberta. I don't know if I've gotten any from Saskatchewan. I may have got a few from Manitoba, if I remember right. But Alberta's been pretty busy. I get a lot of reports out of Alberta for a lot of different things. It doesn't surprise me.
Too many people on the oil there. You got to be an Oilers fan to well, you don't want to be one of them dreaded Flames fans. Let me tell you. But while we're at it here, Dizzy again wants to know, how would you, Lon, categorize hauntings? Is there a number scale? How do you do it?
I don't know. I don't know if I really categorize them. I mean, there are different types. You've got attachments. You've got poltergeist activity, which is an entirely different animal. That's a thought form manifestation that really isn't involved with an energy. It can be. It can develop into something that resembles a haunting. But many times they get out of control. A poltergeist is basically, in my mind, an energy that continues to build, much like a shadow person would be, gaining energy from situation in a household or dysfunction, illness, death, and all kinds of other things. But attachments, that's kind of the low part of the totem pole. But then you get into oppression, obsession, and then up into actual possession. Possessions are very rare. I mean, the mainstream may want you to think that they happen everywhere, but they just really don't. I've only ever had one case that I believe was maybe a possession, but the possession, I don't know what the entity was. I don't like using the word demon. I don't like using that word. It's just, it seems more religious to me as anything else. Evil is evil in my mind. But as far as possessions go, Yeah, if it gets to that point, I'll let the priest handle that. I won't get into that. Oppressions, obsessions, yeah, I can help, but it's not easy. I mostly deal with attachments, and that's about 90% or 95% of the hauntings or activity you get, or just some type of attachments that somebody's picked up.
Right. I can see that. I can see that. All right, Lon. We got a quick story here that I
Mhm.
want to get to on your website, phantomsandmonsters.com. Uh, Apparently, you have, or there's been people in near Moosehead Lake, Maine, talking about a weird creature in the
Yeah.
water. Let's get to this. Good afternoon, Lon. Additional information, which I failed to mention in a previous email before I got to the important stuff. The photographs I sent the other day were taken to close to Sugar Island. There's a handful of little islets, which is where I saw the animals. They were taken from the shoreline during the earliest morning around 9 or so. I've seen the animal again, but barely managed to take photographs this time, two of which are unfortunately just ripple photographs, although one did get the head. It's from the front, so I'm not sure if its perspective is playing what I'm seeing. I only got a good look at it while I was taking the pictures briefly. It appeared to have its mouth open. I believe I saw some teeth, but can't confirm. Had no visible ears, smoothish grayish blue skin, dark eyes. I assume forward facing since I could see them from the front. Couldn't make out any nostrils, blowholes, or anything of that sort. No appendages, frills, etc. around the head. Entertaining the idea that it is something known. It looks fairly close to a leopard seal, but I do not believe that to be the case at all since they're restricted to the southern hemisphere. Maybe it's some other kind of seal, no clue. More confidently, I could say it wasn't a fish. Appreciate your sharing the previous photos. I'm looking at the photos here. It's kind of weird. Here's the original email that you received this year on January 6th. Good evening, Lon. I'm currently on vacation in northern Maine at some family's houses near Moosehead Lake. Earlier this morning, I was walking along the edge of the lake and saw a large animal, question mark in brackets, surface briefly. Managed to take 3 pics I'm sending your way. It was grayish blue with no identifiable traits. Skin looked smooth and had some lighter stripes, at least 2 of them right next to each other. That surfacing was really short and then they disappeared. I do not believe these are fish or seals, but I can't confidently rule anything out. However, you will be able to spread the word and maybe get something conclusive. What do you think these were there, Lon?
I have no idea. You know, the skin looks almost like a shark skin.
Yes.
I don't know what the size was. It's hard to tell the size, and she couldn't get a good gauge on the size, but it looked like it was pretty good. It was pretty big. I'd say maybe 6 to 7 foot of it was actually shown on that one photograph. Now I don't know how far she was from it, but that lake is nowhere near any salt water. I mean, it is a landlocked lake in northwest Maine. It's about the same distance from the St. Lawrence Seaway as the Atlantic Ocean, so it's pretty far away. It's at least 150 miles in each direction. So there's nothing saltwater feeding into it. The only way it would be anything coming out of the St. Lawrence Seaway, or if there was an aquifer, and I don't think it's 150 mile aquifer coming out of there. Unlike that might be happening up at Lake Champlain. I think there may be some aquifers that come out of the St. Lawrence Seaway into Lake Champlain, but this lake is much different. It's that much further away. So I don't know what she saw. I did talk to some people who are very familiar with aquatic life in lakes and in salt water, and they have no idea what it is. So, yeah, the only thing they told me is it looks like a shark skin, but there's no fins. And she said it had forward eyes. So that's definitely not a shark. unless it was some type of hammerhead. Of course, that would be, on the appendage. So I don't know. I don't know what she saw, but it's interesting.
Was there a tail at all?
She didn't see anything. That never surfaced, and she never saw a tail.
Looking at your photos at phantomsandmonsters.com, and I will, for our YouTube chatters, I will post the link in the chat room. It really does look like shark skin with gills on the side of it.
Yeah.
It really does, and I find that very, very intriguing about these photos, and I'm just very curious. I mean, you don't have manatees in that area; it's too cold. It's almost seal-like.
Yeah, a manatee would need to have access from the sea. Now, manatees do go as far north as Boston and Massachusetts, but they can't get to a landlocked lake in the other side of Maine. So it's definitely not a manatee. It's not a beluga whale or anything like that. So I don't know. I don't know what the hell.
Do you find that a lot with sea creatures?
That is not really my forte, but I tell you, I'm interested in it when something like this comes up because we just had no idea what it is. When you do get something like that, you really start digging and figuring, what did somebody put a shark in there? Well, the only way it would be if there was a shark, there's only a few sharks that can live in fresh water. And I guess the biggest one would be a bull shark, because bull sharks have come up the Mississippi River up into the Ohio River. They have been caught that far north. And I know in the Chesapeake Bay, we have had makos and bull sharks come up there. Even into the brackish water and into the areas where it's much more fresh water, that estuary. But as far as a landlocked lake, I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, I you always hear about these stories of these bull sharks moving up into the freshwater regions, halfway up the continental United States. I mean, geez, I mean that's just scary, man. When all of a sudden you could be sitting out on your dock, your kids out for a swim in the river, and all of a sudden a 10-foot bull shark all of a sudden starts lapping around. That just adds to the reason not to go into water. It really does.
About 120 some odd years ago, there were several bull shark attacks up in New Jersey in the Raritan River in that area. This particular bull shark that I think actually attacked 3 people, killed at least 2, I think, was about 15 miles from the ocean. So he got up into all fresh water. So, and it was a bull shark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't like it. Don't like it at all. I looked at looking at these pictures again. I was really looking to see if we saw any diamond shapes or anything to make it look like sturgeon. And they don't look like sturgeon at all.
Nope. Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of. Well, maybe she saw a sturgeon. And I don't know if they have sturgeon up there or not. But, many big lakes do. And they do grow to pretty good size. But just looking at that, I can't believe that's a sturgeon, because you'd see structure from the skin structure and the plates and everything on a sturgeon.
I agree. Lon, 30 seconds. Let everybody know where they can find your books, your podcast, your YouTube channel.
You can find everything on phantomsandmonsters.com. You go to my YouTube channel, which is Phantoms and Monsters Radio. Just search it and it'll come up. And the Phantom and Monsters Fortean Research Team website is at cryptidhunters.org. And my books can be found on Amazon. All the books I have now, the 4 books I have on Amazon are all audiobook too. So you can get that.
Beautiful. Lon Strickler, we'll talk to you next month. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, Steve Stockton from Among the Missing. The Courtney Marcassani has the UFO report. Spaced Out Radio continues after this. Great show tonight, Lon. Thank you, buddy.
No problem. And we'll do that haunting next month.
Let's do it.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, brother. You take care. Much love to you.
Okay, you take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Lon Strickler, everybody. He's amazing. I will be right back. And you guys stay comfy, okay? Okay. Castle Dude, how you doing, man? My hair looks terrible today. Terrible. Juliana McGill, nice to see you. And big thank you tonight to Noble Patrick, T-Bone times 2, Kira, Lala, DA, Linda, Cat Chaser, Rough Rider, Mama Catherine, and Pam Harris for the wonderful super chats tonight. Very much appreciate the love and support. SG Nav Spotter, how you doing? Mm-hmm. Stargazer. Quantum Momentum, how you doing? It's always good to have you here. We got about 30 seconds. Remember, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag there. Hi, Chris. Teen, how you doing? Body Tech, good morning. Yes, my barber is local.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Abatis. Abatis is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. It's that time of the night where we say hello to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing and Another Creepy Story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. The Battle of Gettysburg was fought from July 1 to 3, 1863, during the American Civil War. This battle was a decisive moment that determined the fate of the nation. Today, Gettysburg National Military Park in Pennsylvania is considered a hallowed ground that bears witness to the immense sacrifice and tragedy during those 3 fateful days. Out of the many tales that have emerged from the battlefield, one legend stands out, the legend of the Ghostly Sentinel. According to local lore, a lone Union soldier continues to stand guard over Cemetery Ridge, a prominent location on the battlefield where fierce fighting occurred. This spectral figure, known only as the Ghostly Sentinel, is said to manifest under the cover of night, faithfully reenacting his duty as if frozen in time. Witnesses describe a translucent figure dressed in a Union uniform, rifle in hand, pacing back and forth with an otherworldly dedication to duty. The origins of the Ghostly Sentinel legend can be traced back to the desperate and bloody clashes on Cemetery Ridge during the Battle of Gettysburg. This ridge played a crucial role in the Union victory, serving as a defensive line against Confederate forces. The intensity of the fighting and the immense loss of life left an indelible mark on the land, creating an atmosphere charged with the energy of the fallen. Many believe the ghostly sentinel is the spirit of a Union soldier who perished during the battle, eternally bound to the duty he performed in life. Some accounts suggest that the soldier may have been tasked with delivering crucial messages or standing guard at a strategic point on the ridge. The trauma of war and the untimely end to his earthly existence are believed to have trapped his spirit in a perpetual state of vigilance. Over the years, numerous visitors, historians, and paranormal enthusiasts have reported eerie encounters with this ghostly sentinel. Some claim to have seen the spectral figure standing stoically in the moonlight, while others have heard phantom footsteps and the faint echoes of commands shouted across the battlefield. The legend has become ingrained in Gettysburg's cultural fabric, adding to this historic site's mystique. Now, skeptics attribute these sightings to the power of suggestion, the play of light and shadow, or even the psychological impact of visiting a place steeped in such profound historical significance. However, for those who believe in the supernatural, the ghostly sentinel stands as a poignant reminder of the enduring impact of war on the human soul. Whether or not one subscribes to the paranormal, the legend of the ghostly sentinel adds a layer of mysticism to the already profound history of Gettysburg National Military Park. It serves as a testament to the enduring legacy of those who fought and died on the battlefield, their spirits forever imprinted on the landscape they gave their lives to defend. As visitors explore the hallowed grounds, they may find themselves contemplating the sacrifices made and, perhaps, catch a glimpse of the ghostly sentinel standing watch over the echoes of a bygone era.
Thank you to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing for another creepy story. This one from Gettysburg. We really do appreciate it, Steve. Steve kicks off hour number 3 of this show each and every night from Among the Missing on YouTube. You can go to youtube.com/Among the Missing and check out some creepy stories just like that. From the missing to the mysterious, it's that time of the night to bring in Courtney Marcassani and the UFO Report.
Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know.
Courtney, I have an amazing story for you and our audience that I've been saving. But before we get into that, you have a brand new YouTube channel that you have started up that I'm very excited about. Tell us about it.
It's called Anomalous Debates. It's not my idea. It's actually a friend of mine. It was her idea. She mentioned it a long time ago, and I thought, wow, that's a really cool idea. And we just got around to launching it this past weekend, mostly because we want to get it out there before somebody steals her idea. So we did a mock debate on Saturday, and it went really well. And everybody's putting in their votes for who they want to see matched up on Anomalous Debates. And so it's basically people from the UFO UAP community or the paranormal community that have expertise that get to debate against one another for and against certain topics.
Geez, if you're looking for smart people, I guess I'll never be invited there.
You're invited.
Never.
What are you kidding me? You're an expert on so many issues, Dave.
Oh, no.
Not true.
I know a little bit about a lot. And, you've
schooled me a couple times. You knew all about the Alaska sighting and the Japanese airliner and knew all about it. I mean, you had all that stuff. I was like gobsmacked with your knowledge. You threw down some wisdom, bro.
Threw it down. Anytime I get to say Elmendorf Air Force Base, it makes me happy.
Oh yeah, Elmendorf.
You know why? Can I tell you why?
Tell me.
In 1991, my dad was running in Abbotsford, British Columbia, where I grew up. My dad used to help run the Pilots Bar. Okay, and in 1991, there was a large contingent of Russian aircraft that came to the air show, including a couple MiG-29s. And long story short, long story short, from when they crossed the Bering Sea, they were intercepted by a couple of F-15s from Elmendorf Air Force Base.
Oh, yeah.
And then from there, they were escorted, the F-15s and the Russian contingent were escorted into Canada by 6 CF-18 Hornets.
Whoa.
It was like big time international, right? Long story short, I was 18 years old. I got to meet the pilots of the F-15s, and the one pilot allowed me to sit as long as I wanted in an F-15 Eagle.
You're kidding.
And that is the truth.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and I will never forget the dude. And in fact, later that night, he actually got me and my buddy into the bar a year illegally, because you got to be 19 to drink in British
I
Columbia.
was just going to say, was there any drinking age in British Columbia at the time? Because that was the big thing back in the day. All my friends were like, we could go to Canada and drink. And I was like, yeah, who's going to drive us there? Like
Yeah.
18,
For you, the
19?
closest bar is like 3 hours away. But
Yeah,
he
well, when
he
you're in
got us in.
Pennsylvania, it's even longer.
He got us into the bar that night, and we hung out with him him and his crew all weekend, and it was really kind of cool. So that's why Elmendorf is
Wow.
special to
Yeah, we
So-
have Elmendorf, Richardson, they're connected. I mean, it's a big thing up there because anytime the Russians come over, they have to send them out, and find out how close they are to the to our territory and put up a whole show of force and everything. So that's pretty common, but not every day does a young man get to go and sit in a cockpit. That's pretty groovy.
It was pretty awesome.
What a memory.
I have a little bit of a creepy story to tell you.
Okay.
I've been saving this. This happened this past Thursday after the show. And I thought about it all weekend because I wasn't sure if I was actually going to mention it or not. Okay, but I've decided to because I'm pretty open with my audience.
Okay.
So I got out of the studio probably just after 1 o'clock in the morning, and I crawled up into bed, and I fell asleep as I normally do. And I started having this dream, and my father was there, my cousin was there, and one of my best friends growing up was there. And I don't know if we were in a dark room or a dark alley. I'm leaning towards a dark alley because there was barely any light. And there was this old wooden staircase. And for some reason, I had left my cell phone on the staircase. But it wasn't my iPhone. It was one of those indestructible 1995 Nokia cell phones. Okay, you know the ones I'm talking about.
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nokia.
The phone started to ring, and its ringtone was do 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 do. Exactly. Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I pick up the phone to answer it. And all of a sudden I start feeling that gravitational pull. And I'm like, oh God, here I go. I drop the phone. Now, that phone dropping is going to come into play here in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall leaving. I woke up, snuggled up to Mrs. SOR,
Mm-hmm.
wide awake, emotional. I never get emotional when it comes to these dudes, but I was emotional. And I knew they were standing right behind me. So I turned my head and I'm like, oh no, they're right there. But outside my bedroom window, which looks onto my patio, I saw a bright white light shoot down from the sky onto my patio. And then those beings were gone. And I said,
Wow.
honey, I just got back. I was
Oh,
taken, and I just got
wow.
back. And here's where it gets weird. Okay, if that isn't weird enough already, here's where it gets weird. I had to go to the bathroom. The minute I crawled out of bed and my feet touched the floor, I immediately started shaking. Like I was freezing cold, having hypothermia type of shaking. And I ran to the bathroom, did my thing, and now I'm so cold my teeth are chattering. So I turned on my hot shower. I had a hot shower for about 10, 15 minutes to warm up. And then I threw a t-shirt on. I threw my sweatpants on, and I went back to bed just trying to keep warm because I was frozen cold. I woke up in the morning extremely emotional. And something happened to me. My chest, where, as you guys know, I've been having some health issues recently. The left side of my heart felt lighter than it has in years. Right here. And the other thing that was really weird is I can breathe out of my nose. I've been having troubles breathing out of my nose for the last 20 years. I can now breathe out of my nose. And I don't know what happened because I have a deviated septum that looks like an absolute zigzag a child would draw. Thank you to the many hockey fights I was in. But I could breathe out of my nose. But here's where it gets weirder. I call up my father on Friday morning. And I don't talk about this stuff with my dad because he's a real five senses kind of guy. I said, Dad, how did you sleep last night? And he goes, well, I got up a couple of times during the night, but not too bad. Why do you ask? I said, what time did you get up? He goes, oh, about 7:30 this morning. And I said, Dad, what about before that? What time did you get up? He goes, well, I got up around 2 a.m. I said, was it closer to 2:09, 2:10 that you got up? He goes, as a matter of fact, yes. I'm like, well, that was weird because that was the time I got up, Dad. I said, how did you feel when you woke up? He goes, to be honest with you, I was cold. He goes, I got so cold I actually went and grabbed another blanket and threw it on top of me. And I'm like, oh, that's weird because I had the teeth chatters going on. He goes, but it was weird. He goes, one of the things I think that woke me up was I heard a bang coming from the other room, which when I thought about it was kind of unusual considering that in my dream, I had dropped my cell phone. So I said to my dad after, I said, how did you feel this morning when you woke up, Dad? And my dad says, to be honest with you, I feel great. He goes, this is the first morning in months I haven't woke up wheezing and coughing. So, Courtney, I know you had a little bit of a glitch there with your internet. So what happened was with my dad, he was cold. When I was cold, he woke up at the same time as I did at 2:09. He was cold when I was having the shivers. and he went and got another blanket. He heard the bang, which is what woke him up, which would have been in my dream, me dropping the cell phone. And then in the morning, he was feeling like he hasn't breathed in years. So I don't know what happened. All I know is that I can breathe out of my nose. My chest feels lighter. And my father was cold the exact same time I was cold. And he's 4 hours away, 5 hours away. He heard a noise, which could have been the cell phone in the dream. And he woke up to clear lungs and no hacking or wheezing.
So I don't know if I know this. I'm just going to ask because you said that he's really a five senses guy, but I don't know. Has he ever had any other experiences? Is he an experiencer?
No. And if he is, he would never admit to it. He's an old Alberta boy where if it's not part of the five senses, he doesn't really believe in it. He's had I gave him his first ghostly encounter on my tour. And
I gotta say, I was up there in Alberta and I went to a biker bar with a biker. I went to his local biker bar, and I'll tell you what, all those guys wanted to talk about in that Alberta bar were aliens and seeing lights and seeing lights in the sky. And this was before I had my own sighting. And I was like, why are all these people just talking about, lights in the sky and sightings? But they were really into it. And I thought that was very odd. So he might be seeing stuff and just not saying about it. I don't know if he watches the show or not, but my dad never shared, and he had sightings. I mean, I knew of the one sighting that he had, but not the others. And my sister told me about others that he had after he passed away. So anyway, that's certainly out there. But then what did you think about the phone? Because one of the things I think is funny about phones and dreams is that you're in a dream when you can't use your cell phone. And I think it's funny that you couldn't use your cell phone, or that it fell right before it was able to be picked up. So you still knew you were in the dream, right, at that point? Or did
Absolutely.
you not know? Okay.
No, I knew I was in the dream at that point.
Okay. Do you remember waking up?
Waking up on the craft?
No, waking up from the dream. Do you remember waking up?
Yes. Yeah, I woke up at 2:09 a.m.
All right. Well, yeah. I know that you were saying the thing that you were saying makes it's unbelievable is you were saying how you're having so much trouble breathing. We were just talking about that last week because of the hockey stuff and the CPAP machine and not getting good sleep at night. So have you been able to sleep the last few nights since you've had this experience?
I have slept amazing.
Oh, wow.
Since then. And the funny part about it is tonight after the show will be the first time I actually use my CPAP machine.
Okay.
So right. I'm gonna test out what oxygen actually feels like at night. Okay. And see how that goes. But the weird part about it was I have slept great in the last 3-4 days.
Yeah, that was what I want to ask you. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you was when you stepped on the floor and you felt your whole body shaking, like, have you ever been in shock before? Do you know what it feels like to be in shock?
Yes.
Did it feel like that? Did it feel like the kind of cold that you get when you're in a shock where you can't?
Yes. It's almost like, when you're really sick and you're just getting the shakes and you got like 14 blankets on you and nothing warms you. That's shakes I was getting.
Yeah. When you said that you stepped on the ground and it felt super cold and your whole body started shaking, that made me think of, times when I've been in shock. I've been in shock a couple times. Once was after an accident and I felt that kind of like uncontrollable, cold. So I wondered if you thought it was a shock feeling, or did you feel like it was something else, or did you just not know?
No, I don't know. Out of all the times that I known that I have been taken, I've never felt that before. Now, I did talk to Samantha Mowat about it. And Samantha stated that she has had the shakes too when she's come back. And that I don't know whether it's a process that they're bringing you back too fast or whatever. Because like I said, I was only gone. I don't even know how long I was gone. Right. So, yeah, let's continue this conversation when we return. Courtney Marcassani, the UFO report, Dave having some high strangeness, at SOR headquarters. I'm going to let Courtney grill me a little bit more on this when we return on Spaced Out Radio for the final half hour. We'll be right back.
After I'm done playing my air guitar.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
It's so cold here. I got back to PA. I'm in Pennsylvania at my mom's place on the farm. And we ran out of oil. So the house was like, I got in the house. I'm expecting it to be all warm and cozy. And it's like freezing. So I've been burning the heat in the fireplace for hours now, just trying to get it up to 60 degrees in the living room. So that's why I'm all wrapped up.
Oh my.
I know, country girl know how. I was like, ooh, we got to get a fire going right away.
Oh, yeah.
Chilly.
Oh, yeah.
So this is very intriguing what happened.
Yes. Hold on. Did you check the wood?
What wood?
From the last time you were there?
Oh, I have so much wood. I have 5 cords of wood that I loaded myself onto the porch.
I know, but was the wood line still there?
Oh, I took the wood line off to see if there would be another wood line, and I think there is. I haven't had a chance to go out and look at it, but I'll see tomorrow morning for sure if there's another wood line. Oh yeah, I've already been looking in the woods to see if the lights are back already. I'm all out there like, are they out there? Are they coming?
Oh my.
They'll probably show up, but if they do, they do. I've resolved, like, if they show up, I'm going to be brave this time, and I'm going to go out in the woods and see what it is. I'm not going to run in fear.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I got to face my fears and see what it is.
Hey,
The coyotes were out there, though. The coyotes were howling again, and they were howling before when they showed up the last time. So that was already like a little, ooh, coyotes. They're around.
And what part of PA are you in?
I'm in northeastern Pennsylvania. It's up north. Yeah, we're very far north. So I'm just below the New York state line by like an hour. It's cold. Like I came into Philadelphia, it was warm down there. You have to go 3 hours north and it's cold up here. So we're in a completely different climate zone. Very mountainous, Appalachia, a little bit of snow.
I hear you.
Anchorage just got another foot of snow though.
That's good. I had about 3 to 4 inches melt of mine today. We were 7 degrees above freezing today.
Yeah, well, it was getting down to 15 below when I was taking off, so I just missed the super cold snap that's coming.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah, I'm in 40 here, so I'll take 40 cold in the house with a fireplace over 15 below any day. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll take that.
You can get warm with a fire.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Do you have a wood stove in there?
Yeah, it's a custom built. My mom and dad, they built this place on the family farm. So they put in a whole custom built fireplace by their friend. He built it for them. Well, their family actually built it for him. So it's huge. It takes up the whole like middle of the house. It's all rock from the farm. We have a bunch of stone walls. Yeah, so it's stone from the stone walls. So it radiates a bit of heat, but it's pretty massive. So it kicks off a good bit of heat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the old family farm.
Yeah, my area is we need at least another 2-3 feet of snow. Like the mountains that usually carry us for water and for keeping the forest wet during the winter.
Mhm.
The one mountain is you can stare at it and you can't see snow on it. Our ski mountains haven't opened. Nothing.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how much we're in trouble here right now.
Well, Alaska is getting pounded, so all the skiers can avail themselves of Alyeska because we're getting a ton of snow.
Yes. Hi, Stephanie Jackson. Hi, Sleepy Howl. All right. We got about 1 minute here. Une minute.
Well, this is a big deal for you.
Yeah, dude, it's weird. Weird.
I'm glad that you shared it, though. I think it's good for people to share their stories if they're comfortable doing it, because it helps other people.
Yes, starry sky. Dark starry sky that actually lives in my town. I don't know who it is, but I think they know me.
That's
Uh,
kinda cool. Hometown person.
yeah, we got major El Nino and Pineapple Express happening here right now, and they're already talking about major forest fires.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we might be it. Thank you to all our super chatters. We appreciate the Louvre. And here we go with the next half hour. Here we go with the final half hour of the UFO Report with Courtney Marcassani. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate the love that you guys have for tuning us on in. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Here we have Courtney Marcassani, the UFO Report, continuing right now. Courtney, thank you so much for talking about an experience that I had just last week.
I'm glad you shared it. I wanna ask you one more question.
Sure.
Was there anything before it happened that you were noticing and that you could track back to? Anything that stands out to you?
No.
Okay.
Well, yes and no. Yes and no. So I had signed off the air on our YouTube channel, and I went to edit. I fell asleep. And then I was trying to get out of my sleep so I could edit the show. And it took about half an hour, 40 minutes for me to do that before I could finally, because I remember being upset that I was getting into bed after 1 a.m. I try and be in bed before 1, unless I have to take a phone call or something like that. And I remember fighting it. And then when I hit the sack, I was out. I was just like completely out. But the thing that really hit me about it was the next day, I was very emotional. Like I knew something had changed in my body.
Mm-hmm.
What that is, I don't know. But it still feels different.
Yeah, well, that's always a sign that they tell us, like in dream stuff. I've taken a number of dream stuff in college, and that's one of the things that they talk about, that if you have an emotional dream or emotional experience, that it's important, especially when you wake up. If you're emotional when you wake up, it's significant and important. So that was the other thing I was going to ask you about the emotional stuff. But you think it's just connected with your body. It wasn't really connected with any of the shifts, because that was the other thing I was going to ask you about the people in the dream. Are they all alive? Are they all living? I know you said your dad
Oh yeah.
was, you talked to him.
Yeah,
but did you
they're all
guys?
living. Yep,
Okay.
they're all living.
Okay, because sometimes you see that, you'll see somebody who's departed in a vision or in a dream before
Yes.
before you have another experience like that with your body. So I was also curious if they were all still here, and they all are. They're not departed. So that's also really interesting. Did you contact the other two buddies and see if they had anything, or no? Are they not
I
contactable people?
Well, I contacted my cousin, and
Mhm.
I didn't really tell him what went on. And
Sure.
it's kind of like, hey, how you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm not living at home right now. And him and his wife, they had a bunch of pipes burst in their
Oh,
house,
oh no. Oh no.
flooded. So I was like, okay, nothing happened with him, and I didn't even bother calling my other buddy because he already thinks I'm a weirdo.
Well, I get that. I get that. I wouldn't reach out to try to contact somebody if I wasn't, you know what I mean, super close with them either.
Yeah,
But I would look at the people who showed up in the dream before you left. There's something about that. There usually is. Anyway.
maybe. But yeah, I wasn't
Just
gonna.
something
I
to
wasn't.
consider.
I debated this one because I really don't. How can I put it? There's a lot of people out there right now looking for vulnerability to capitalize on for their own ripping of the UFO and experiencers world.
What do you mean by that?
Well, critics, shall we say?
Oh, the critics. Sure. There are a lot of critics. Oh yeah. We've just
Yeah,
seen that recently with the big blow up with the Wikipedia and the Wikigate,
yeah,
there's obviously critics.
yeah. So I didn't want to. I was like, you know what? Do I put some gas on the fire or do I not? I figured, screw it. I don't care about them. I care more about my audience.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
this community here that you have established, they all love you, so they're not
Oh,
gonna rip you down.
oh yeah, I know.
They better not anyway, right?
Yeah, whatever. It happens.
There's always critics. There's always critics. There's always people that are gonna say, but for the experiencers or experience this stuff, it's important. It's important for us to hear each other's stories. So I think it's
I
good.
agree.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yes,
a
I
very brave, it's a very brave thing. I appreciate it that you shared.
no problem. So what's going on in the UFO world? I'm going to be honest with you. I took a weekend off the woo,
Yeah, okay, that's good. That's healthy to take a step back.
and I watched football,
Good.
and I watched hockey, and it leads us to tonight. So you're going to have to lead the way here. What's the heavy news of coming through the weekend?
Oh, well, last week, the tail end of the week, it was all about Sean Kilpatrick and so many stories about how he didn't leave Arrow. He actually got fired. I don't know that that's true or not, but that's what's going around, that he was actually, you know, fired from Arrow. It wasn't a departure on his own. So that'll be something that we need to follow up on news-wise and see where that's coming from. Is it true? Will we know if it's true or not? Because if it is, it's important. There was a huge, just scandal around Kilpatrick and evidence that he was doing disinformation against the community. That was another big news story that was breaking Thursday and Friday. And so the UAP report had come out from the Department of Defense, and they basically said that there was major issues and major problems about UAPs. I think I sent it to you. I sent you the slides and the information about the UAP information that came out. So that was the biggest story, actually. Let me go and pull it up here for you. It was Lester Nair. He said the DoD IG report on how they are handling UAPs is damning. First of all, they clearly state there's no coordinated approach to detect, report, collect, analyze, and identify UAP. So this is why they came out and said Sean Kilpatrick was likely fired, because of this report. Here's the heading. We reviewed the DoD policies, procedures, and actions for detecting, reporting, and collecting, analyzing, and identifying UAP, and determined that, among other things, the DoD has not used a coordinated approach to detect, report, collect, analyze, and identify UAP. DoD components have largely excluded geographic combatant commands, which are responsible for detecting, deterring, and preventing threats. Okay, so this was the big piece of news that came out last week. And in addition to the slides that he put on Twitter, Lester did, it just says that this is what both Elizondo and Mellon have been talking about from the start. We can't have a true understanding of the magnitude of the problem if there's not standardization and compliance with reporting. So that was the big breaking news as of Friday. And so there was just a big hoopla around Kilpatrick and the fact that he was doing disinformation, essentially, against the community.
Yeah, and did you see that CNN article ripping into him about the fact that he is more likely a disinformation agent rather than somebody who is there to get to the truth of UFOs? I thought they did a really good article on that.
No, I didn't see the CNN report, but I did see the CBS report. I sent you a CBS
Yes.
headline that also came out that says Pentagon watchdog says uncoordinated approach to UAPs. And so it's the same kind of news story, but it came from CBS. So the title on CBS News was Pentagon watchdog says uncoordinated approach to UAPs could endanger national security. So, it's basically the threat narrative, but it's interesting that CBS is reporting on this. So it's not just News Nation, which is more of like alternative. I mean, it's not a major news broadcasting group. I mean, they're a splinter now that's come off on their own channel, and they're doing good stories, but they're not ABC, NBC, or CBS. So that was a pretty big deal, actually, that they posted that on their news.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people are starting to see right through Kirkpatrick, and the fact that it's kind of amazing the idea that in this field there is disinformation going on,
Yeah.
and and if it's discovered that he is or was a disinformation agent regarding the UFO phenomena for the government, I hope the media continues to look into that. That's a
Well,
big story.
You and I were ahead of it. We were talking about this weeks ago. Remember when we were saying, put it together, I mean, we weren't the only ones saying it, but we were certainly talking about it on the news segment about how, these whistleblowers had testified. They testified. So what
Yes.
did they just perjure themselves to Congress that they saw these things and witnessed programs and had evidence? And Sean Kilpatrick is basically saying, nope, never heard it, never saw it. But you know what? Chris Mellon came out and said, I don't know what he's talking about. I took Eric Davis, Lou Elizondo. We went to him. We gave him, many, 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 many facts and evidence. And so he's like, I just don't know where he's coming from, saying that he never heard from these witnesses. It was somebody else too, besides Lou Elizondo. It was Lou Elizondo, Eric Davis, and somebody else. I'll have to go and look at that. But Mellon directly came out and contradicted Sean Kilpatrick last week. And so there was a big brouhaha between these two different groups, basically mudslinging at one another. And so then the CBS report came out. And then, of course, the UAP report came out from the DOD. So Sean Kilpatrick looks very sketchy right now in the public eye, but definitely in the community. In the UAP, UFO community.
Do you think he's lost credibility because of it?
He has definitely lost credibility with all of us, with all the people who have been watching the story, people who aren't listening to us and our side of it, and the experiencers and the people who are doing the research in the UFO community have known this for many decades. These other people know. They don't know about it. They just see the outward facing Sean Kilpatrick. I mean, that's my guess. They think that he's a upstanding guy that had a really hard time doing his job because he's coming out saying that these are all believers. That was the other thing that he said that last week. He came out and said in an interview, these people are all basically conspiracists. He's calling our own whistleblowers conspiracists and fringe people and believers. It's just a core group of believers. And that's why he had his, found out so hard to do his job and why he had to leave. And so if we find out that he actually got fired, he's going to look really, really bad. Very. Now, we don't know that right now. It's just a rumor, but it kind of looks like it.
Yes, I can totally see that, and the way that I really hope the media jumps on it. But I really do believe that many people need to look into more whether or not he was terminated or if he retired. That's going to say a lot about his legacy, that's for sure.
Well, he hasn't retired because he's got a landing page on Oak Ridge now that he's working for them. And so he hasn't left the field. He's still working. He landed a job. And so it's really interesting that he's done an about face, because when he was with Arrow, he said that there were some that they had that they didn't know what they were. And now he's saying they're all prosaic and they found explanations for everything. And, he's going to step out and he did his job. And it's like, and now the DOJ comes out with this report and says we have no way to track anything. And we have all these issues after he's left. So the timing of it is a little suspicious.
Very suspicious. What else came out of this past few days?
Well, that was pretty big. There was definitely just a huge shakeup with the guerrilla skeptics going into Wikipedia and having this coordinated effort with 2 or 3 other nonprofits that they're making, over 5 million in profit to their organization. Nobody's knowing how that's money's coming in, and they're doing all these edits, not only to the UFO and UAP pages, but also to paranormal, psychics pages, telepathy,
Bigfoot.
ghost hunters. They're just going in and wiping out all.
Yes, they are wiping out all the changes that are going on. And the scary part about that is Wikipedia, as far as we know so far, and have looked into this, is really really doing nothing about it. They're not responding to a lot of the reports. Are kind of like, that's just kind of the way it is around here. I mean, imagine being somebody like Lou Elizondo or anybody. It doesn't really matter who it is. And you have zero control of what you put on your own Wikipedia page because somebody else made it and you don't have access to it. So if somebody, say, went and put something absolutely grotesque and heinous on that Wikipedia page, you would have no say, nor could you remove it. Hal Puthoff is one who has had many a times his Wikipedia page hacked, so to speak, even though it's not hacked because these people are considered editors of Wikipedia. And every time he goes to make changes on his own Wikipedia page, these hackers, these editors, or whatever you want to call them, literally take down what Puthoff put on there and then replace it with fake news. So they have no say in what happens on their Wikipedia profile. Courtney is back.
Hey, it's got to be the
I'm
Starlink. It's messing with
always
me.
a Starlink.
Yeah,
Always.
sorry. You were right about my Alaska internet. Where are we now? Wikipedia?
Just Wikipedia portion.
Yeah, well, when you watch the edits and you see them doing them live and turning on the visual on Wikipedia to see who's editing stuff, one of the big scandals is that it's probably Mick West writing under a pseudonym called Lucky Louie, and that he's running scared because they're working on it, and there's lawyers involved now, and they're going to start going after people for censorship. So it's a really big deal. It's not just this these people were involved with going and editing pages. It's a lot deeper than that. So I'm interested to follow up and see what the lawyers do and who's going to get in trouble. And if they unmask Mick West, if it really is him, that's going to be scandalous if it is him writing under a pseudonym. Can you imagine?
Well, I think it's to the point with this Wikipedia subject. And I made the mistake when I had Matt Ford on last week to say this may not be the biggest UFO story, but I've changed my mind on that. I think it is a massive UFO story that needs to be outed, and more people need to pay attention. And I think it shows the real corruption that is going on behind the scenes to deflate anything to do with UFOs. Look, I don't care if you have a ravenous hatred for people like Chris Mellon, Lou Elizondo, David Grush, Ross Coulthart, and the group, whether you think they're grifting for dollars or whatever it may be. But you don't press or play with people's lives just because you have the ability to do so on a website. You just don't do that. You don't play that game. Let people find out for themselves. Your thoughts, Courtney? Oh, Courtney froze up a little bit. I mean, I don't like that. And it really isn't your opinion or my opinion that matters. It isn't our opinions on whether or not, just because we like or dislike a person, to go on their Wikipedia page and say, I don't like the way the guy wipes his face after taking a bite of pizza every time. I don't get that. Okay. Courtney, welcome back. I'm not sure how much you heard of that, but we only got about 2.5 minutes left. But I mean, this story is bigger than what I thought it was. It really is bigger than what I thought it was. And I don't know what is truly going on anymore. It's difficult. It's a difficult position to be in. And it's uncomfortable to try and figure out how you go about it. How do you go about fixing it or trusting the process when the process is continually changing? That is a difficult one. Very, very difficult one. As for my story, there's going to be people who hear this and make comments who will say that, oh, you're doing it for ratings, you're doing it for this, you're doing it for that. No, I just told the story because I've always told you, the audience, my story. Because if I don't, then that's not really fair, is it? A little hypocritical if you'll tell me your story, but I'm not going to tell you mine. We're not going to play that around here. No, sir, Bob. Who came up with that saying, no, sir, Bob? I remember the 70s and 80s. My mother always used that. No, sir, Bob. Like, Phil, what does that even mean? But what do you do? What do you do? I don't know. I really don't know. But I want to say a big thank you tonight for all of you tuning on in to Lon Strickler and Strange Days. What a great show we had with Lon. He really brought it tonight. Very much brought it tonight. And we appreciate Lon from phantomsandmonsters.com coming on in every single end of the month to break down the month that was in the cryptid and strange, weird world that we live in. Fun times tonight. Always check out his website. It's absolutely fantastic. Also, big thank you to Courtney Marcassani and Steve Stockton for a great hour, number 3. As we got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Elcam, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, and the Space Travelers Club. Hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us. Because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, yes, we've got room for them too. Good night. That's funny. Dark starry sky. Thank you, Dave. Hope all goes well with your clap tonight. I don't have the clap, you silly dork. I don't have the clap. So I got my CPAP. CPAP machine. CPAP machine. Yeah, that's going to be fun. CPAP machine. CPAP machine. All right, let's go here. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Dave has the clap, apparently. Dave, welcome into the Breathers Club. Thank you, Pennyman. Dark Starry Sky, you got to tell me who you are. Dave doesn't like mystery. And if you're coming to see me at work tomorrow, bring a Pepsi. Teasing. Teasing. Teasing, teasing, teasing. Any chance of deer by the cherry tree were in a screen memory? No, Paramarv. I get deer out there all the time. That's why I have the cherry tree for them. The cherries are they're Chinese cherries and they're really odorous and fermented at this time of year. So they go there to get drunk. We got that. Who's on the show tomorrow night? Let me take a look here. Phil Webster. Mysterious or mystical experiences. Now this guy, excuse me, is gonna blow me out of the water with his hair and beard combination. I might scream like a schoolgirl. Dig through the ditches, which is like the back of my Dragula. No, Dave hates mystery. Dave hates mystery. The only mystery Dave wants is what's in the forest hiding. And finding our resident Skinwalker Ranch around here. That's all I want. Dave will be on Podcast UFO with Martin Willis coming up in a few weeks. No, I didn't see Preston's chin hair. I'm kind of jealous about that. If he was stoking the fire, so to speak. All right, everybody. A big thank you to Cat Chaser, Rough Rider, Mama Catherine, T-Bone, Pam Harris, Linda, D.A., Lada, Kira, T-Bone again, and Patrick, a.k.a. Noble Patrick, for the great super chats tonight. Very much appreciate the show. Are you tuning us in for the show? Pardon me. And
hi there. This is Dave Scott from Space.
What are you doing? Hold on, that needs to be highlighted. This needs to be highlighted for copy. I'm gonna go like this. That over there. Oh, for frig's sakes. What's a cut? Getting frustrated. Copy. Paste. Not that hard. Apparently it is sometimes. All right. We'll see you all tomorrow night, everybody. Take care. I'm going to wave now. Bye.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.